Hi, and welcome to week 3 of our translanguaging pedagogy course. This week, we are focusing on planning for translanguaging in instruction and assessment. So we'll be diving a bit deeper into what it looks like to actually design and enact translanguaging pedagogies to support your bilingual and multilingual students. We're going to begin the week with a kind of a brief overview of the different components of the translanguaging corriente, as Garcia and colleagues propose in the book, and focusing specifically this week on translanguaging design and translanguaging shifts. So you'll have a chance to kind of review what those two components are, and then we'll dive into our readings for this week. So this week you'll be reading three chapters from your course text, chapters 5, 6, and 7, which I think you'll enjoy as they dive deeper into kind of the how and what around designing for translanguaging in your classroom. Then you'll read a very short article that I wrote with two teachers who were working at a bilingual school in Language Magazine, where we talk about what translanguaging could look like in reading and writing in those settings and propose kind of a framework for thinking about translanguaging pedagogy. And then after that, you'll be watching this fantastic web series that the CUNY NYSEB project put together. So that's the City University of New York had this multi-year project focusing on translanguaging and translanguaging pedagogy. You read that introductory chapter about the project already, but these are 5 videos that show you what it looks like for teachers to put these translanguaging pedagogies into practice. So I think you'll really enjoy seeing that in action. After that, we'll be moving into the 10 purposes for pedagogical translanguaging. So this is a framework that I've been developing over the last few years as a way to support teachers in thinking about really intentional ways and reasons why to plan for translanguaging in their classrooms. So you'll be introduced to the framework, and you can see the handout that's linked there. And then I have a video that I've included that goes through the first 5 purposes, since those are the 5 that we're focusing on this week. And we'll also then be thinking about kind of the lens of content, process, and product as we think about those purposes. Then moving into your application assignments for this week. So after you've engaged with all of that content, you're going to be writing your discussion reflection and your responses. And then the 2 application assignments after the discussion are your article analysis and your translanguaging pedagogy portfolio. The article analysis is a chance for you to dive deeper into some of the research around translanguaging. So if you go to the content link that I have, Articles for Article Analyses, you'll see a long list of articles you can choose from, and I've broken them up by grade level, but they also vary in terms of their focus, the program type that they're working within, the languages that students speak. And so I encourage you to read through the abstracts of a few different ones and find one that speaks to you, that's interesting to you. And then you'll be reading it and going through the analysis, which involves summarizing the article, connecting the article to other things that we've read or that you've seen or we've talked about in this class, critically engaging with it. So kind of thinking about the questions that you have based on the article, any critiques you might have of the article, and then applying what you've learned from that to your own teaching context or future teaching context. And there is an assignment description and rubric, so take a look at that as you're preparing for your paper, which is due on Sunday. And then this week, we'll be beginning the translanguaging pedagogy portfolio. So this is kind of the big application project in this course, which is gradually putting together a digital portfolio of translanguaging pedagogies that could be used in your context. So for your grade level or your programmatic context. And so the goal of this project is that you're creating something that can be publicly accessed, so like a website or kind of some sort of platform for sharing this. And this week, you're going to focus on purposes 1 through 5. And I want you to design at least 2 pedagogies for each purpose. And designing means kind of you're giving the description of what it is, but also creating any resources you would need to actually carry out that translanguaging pedagogy. And you're welcome to pull from some of the examples that Dr. Hessen and I have created in the 10 purposes document, or create your own that you believe would accomplish that purpose. And I also ask you to think about content, process, and product or assessment as you are designing these different pedagogies. So you can see the assignment description and rubric at the bottom of this page. So that is it for this week. We'll be engaging in a lot of learning and a lot of beginning to apply what we've been talking about to your own teaching context. So I'm excited to dive into your discussion board and to see what you're beginning to create as you think about how this applies for you. Have a great week.